Electrocast.
Why wait to see if you'll get something you like this Valentine's Day when you can go to BlueNile.com and find something you'll love? Whether you're looking to treat yourself to a little winter sparkle or show a galentine how much you appreciate them, Blue Nile offers a wide selection of high-quality designs, expert guidance, and free 30-day returns for the ultimate peace of mind. You can even design your own jewelry. Right now, save up to 50% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
Welcome into Missing the Point. I'm Mike Marcangelo, filling in for DK Sizzle Dave Clark, but joined alongside the real DK Bob Kelly for the Week 3 Power Rankings. We're going to recap Week 2 of the NFL. Another week, another injury. Before we get into the Power Rankings, though, Bobby, what was your take on just what we saw in Week 2? It felt like it went against everything we believed in, except for the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a crazy week. I think the biggest storyline, I mean, I guess it's not like a happy storyline. You already kind of mentioned it. Is the biggest storyline of this week Nick Chubb? It might be, right?
I mean, the way in which Nick Chubb's leg bent.
Yeah, that was the worst injury I've seen since maybe Greg Olsen a few back. They were landed on it and his leg completely. Was that Olsen or?
I don't know.
This one was worse though.
This one though, you said it in the group, in one of the group chats that we're in, and you said it looks like it was a hit to the knee, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, it was so brutal, man.
You just hate to see it too, because from all reports, right? Nick Chubb is the best teammate. He doesn't want all the praise. He just wants to go out there and play. And in a year, in an offseason where it really felt like the owners and the teams were conspiring against paying running backs, you hate to see a guy who tore all of his ligaments in that leg, in 2015?
In college, man. Yeah, it's what made him a second-round pick. So,
right.
It's so brutal. I think it's going to be tough for this dude to come back and be a semblance of what he was at this point. I mean, bro, that leg was literally I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. Yeah, it was so brutal, and they didn't show a replay on TV. And this is the same network that zoomed in on that Louisville's guy's bone popping out of his leg.
Yeah,
usually it's no holds barred, but they're no, we can't show this again because it was bad. It was bad, especially just such a superstar too. It just puts kind of a sour note over the entire week, especially because it came in on Monday night, and then there's all these conspiracies about the Monday Night Football curse and all this different stuff about things. It's crazy.
I mean, 3 straight Monday Night Football games, something catastrophic has happened. One, DeMar Hamlin, that was almost way worse than we couldn't even put it in this category. Last week, or I guess week 1, the truther, Aaron Rodgers himself, tears his Achilles, but I guess he got surgery that could allow him to come back if the Jets make the playoffs, which is, of course he did. Of course his surgery will allow him to heal a blown Achilles in 12 weeks.
Well, it's funny because it kind of feeds into this week too. It's the whole thing just feeds. It's the NFL is sprinkling conspiracy theories around, and they're hey, yeah, let's get him going. It's funny that leaked right after all the reports that the Aaron Rodgers injury was rigged and all this stuff. It's just funny.
I gotta tell you, storyline wise, if we just focus on on the field, I got 2. One is the Chargers usually start off fast and they finish terribly, but for the Chargers to be 0-2 and now to fall week 1, the Dolphins high-powered offense, I get it, but to the Titans, how does that even happen?
Yeah, man, it's they're the weirdest team because it's Vegas treats them like they were a 13-14 the last 2 years. And the NFL world treats this team like they're a 13-win team perennially. But this is who they are. And I don't know if we really even need to think any harder about who this team is and what their identity is, right? They're a very talented, they're what the Cowboys have been, prior to the past 3-4 years, where it's the Jason Garrett era, if I will. That's what this team kind of reminds me of. There's so much talent, so much promise, a team that should go deep every single year. And they don't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They don't. It's 8-8, 9-8, 8-9, blowing big playoff leads. It's just who they are at this point.
The weird thing about them too is that historically, the teams that do this have always been one-sidedly stacked. They have playmakers conceivably on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you already know about offense, like Herbert. I mean, if you could build a prototype of what you want a quarterback to do, it would be Justin Herbert. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, sure, but Justin Herbert, the size, the arm strength, athleticism, everything.
Yeah.
Austin
He's
Eckler,
he's the prototype, if you will.
yeah, I feel like I don't know if you were just echoing exactly what I said, or you thought you came up with that yourself. But either way, I'm going to let it go.
Did you literally say the word prototype?
Yeah,
Did you? I'm sorry.
that's great.
Katie texted me. So
Yeah, no,
I have to admit, I wasn't fucking listening. So
yeah,
the first,
no,
like, 5
I
seconds.
actually watched you stop listening. We've already gone through our one game of the fantasy football season where you're like, oh my God, Austin Eckler is the greatest running back in the NFL.
Hurt.
And then he gets hurt. then he gets hurt.
Yeah.
And then their playmakers on defense. I mean, again, you would think that they would not allow a Titan team to put up 27 points. Not a high-powered.
Ryan Tannehill was slicing them up, dude. What do you have, like an 81% completion percentage in this? It was Ryan Tannehill, a dude who looked like garbage against who did Titans play? Colts, right? They played Colts week 1?
No, they played the Saints, right?
Yeah, they played Saints week 1. You're right.
Yeah.
And he looked terrible.
Yeah.
But against this Chargers defense, man, I mean, would it surprise you if Staley is fired before week 5? If this keeps up, right? They're 1-4 or 2, even 2-3. I could see something happening if they have another bad loss along the way.
I don't think 2-3 gets it, but I think it's 1-4, and then we're in the Kellen Moore era, and for the Chargers, which who knows? Who knows? He might be. I think he's one of those coordinators where you either love him or you fucking hate him. Nobody feels nothing about him. Do you know what I mean?
I was 100% out on Kellen Moore when he ran a triple reverse for the Cowboys 4 plays into the goddamn season. I was like, all right, dude, I'm officially out. Like, you have such little faith in your offensive system that you're like, you know what we need to do right now? We need to run a triple reverse. We're going to trick them. Like, bro, you're 4 plays in. I was done. So,
second storyline on the field, and I have a vested interest in this, is what's going on in Chicago and with the Bears. I have a vested interest in this because I was part of a team that picked them to be, I think, like 9-8 or 10-7, and right now, we were talking about this today. It doesn't look right. Justin Fields does not look right. His drop back doesn't look right, and I don't know. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it. Like, is it all him, or do you think it is the coaching around him as well?
I think it's both. I do. His comments today were a little weird too. I don't know. Everyone out there probably saw it where he's blaming, saying he felt like a robot in the offense. I think he actually blamed the coach too.
Yeah, 2 hours later, he walked that back.
Yeah, he did. Okay.
Oh,
Mick, I wonder what happened. And then I thought it was funny too. They released Peterman, which I think is funny. They're like, this guy might be so shitty that he's rubbing off on Justin Fields as the backup quarterback. So we got to get him the fuck out of here. It's his fault. It's got to be. But no, so I do think it's both, because obviously Justin Fields is thinking he needs to be a passer. So like, judging by what we saw last year, I just feel like that's coming from somewhere, right? I mean, it's not something that he's just deciding like, hey, I'm not going to run and be Justin Fields anymore. That's absolutely a directive from somewhere in his offense. Like, they're like, the best way for you to be successful in this offense is to be a passing quarterback. And it just feels like he's not being his optimal self. You know what I mean? He's when he's thinking, that's when he gets into trouble. You saw it there's that one play where he takes a sack and he has like 4 open dudes in the end zone. And it's like, bro, that play cannot be a sack. It
Right.
cannot be a sack. 100 out of 100 quarterbacks in the NFL that are starting quarterbacks should find someone on that play. And
Or
then
at
the
least
screen
or at least get rid of the ball.
yeah, and then the screen pass at the end of the game that wrapped it up was one of the worst plays like in fact I've ever seen in my life. The pick six that was like the nail, bro. That was as a field truther. Like I feel like we invented like the wheel on Justin Fields. It's this hype train, and
I mean, I don't know why you would say
I
that.
don't know.
It's not like I picked him to be MVP.
Yeah, I don't know. I regret my stock. I feel like I'm the star of The Big Short right now. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, bro, I'm like fucking. So what? Bear Stearns in the meeting with Steve Crow. We got to get the fuck out of here, man. It's over.
But the thing that doesn't make any sense about it is that, like, if you think about what they did in the offseason, it felt like they added pieces around him. Obviously, DJ Moore. I mean, we have another year with Chase Claypool. Cole Kmet is a serviceable tight end. But what would make the Bears better and that offense better is if it was a run first and then deep pass play offense. And it feels like the thing that I mentioned, when we're talking about this today, like before the show, was just go back and watch Tua drop back and when he plants that back leg or that back foot, how long it takes for the ball to come out. Like, spoiler alert, it's like 0.3 seconds. And when Justin Fields hits either his third or his fifth step, he just kind of hops around for a little while. I don't know if he wants to run first and he's just trying to tell himself, look for the big play. But he has all the God-given talent to be better than 16 of 29 for 211 yards.
And some of the worst breaking down of the defense I've ever seen in my entire life, if I could talk. It was really bad. It was really bad. And the defense looks bad. Like, I feel bad for DK because I know how high his hopes were. And like, it wasn't even manufactured. It felt like he actually had those high hopes. It's like, I didn't blame him. You know what I mean? Sure. Like the optimism, but they've lost 12 straight games at this point. And it's like, it just feels like it's the same Bears with the same thing. And it feels like Fields needs to get out of there if he wants to be successful. It's at that point where it's like, I don't know if it's Eberflus, if it's just a change of scenery, if it's something, but something's not right there. It's definitely not right.
I was going to argue against that, but I don't think that I would be able to do justice for DK. So I'm just going to let him ravage the shit out of you when he gets back next week for saying that. What were your two big storylines of the week?
So one is also one I have a vested interest in. DK, just so maybe rebound on my, just tearing down of the Bears, and I do apologize for that. But he was 100% right about the Minnesota Vikings. They're really bad.
We both agreed 7-10.
Yeah, I'm saying you guys were right about how bad they were, and I tried to steal the Vikings and saying I said they were going to be 10-7. I think I didn't think it was going to be that far of a fall down. I mean, they won 13 games last year, but releasing Dalvin Cook without a replacement doesn't seem to be the best decision for their offense, because Madison is absolutely just garbage.
But not to worry, because as of today, the 20th of September, they did trade for...
they just got Cam Akers. That's right.
Yeah, for Cam Akers, who even though Yahoo or ESPN or whatever you use for your fantasy football source has tried to prop him up as a top 10 running back for the last 3 years.
Every year, bro.
He still isn't one.
Every year. And yeah, their defense is garbage. And I just don't. It seems like that they just... It's Jefferson or bust. And like even the rest of the football world now is, I mean, you saw the tweet that was going around from FanDuel that was like, who says no to this trade? And it's Jefferson to the Pats. And like, people were talking about Cousins to the Jets. So like the football world is feeling it too, that like, this is the prime team for a downfall. And the two teams that we just talked about actually play this coming week. in a loser leaves town match where it's Chargers Vikings. So that'll be a fun one because the loser of that game, their season is completely turned upside down. One of those two teams who are playoff teams after this week is going to be 0-3. So that's like a death sentence on your side. Has anyone ever made the playoffs at 0-3?
No. I think if this was still like a 16 game season, they would have statistically been eliminated. But there's not really enough data on the whole 17 game season. I don't think anyone has, but I think 0-3 in a 17 game season is like starting 1-3 in a 16 game, and I think there are like 30 teams that have made the playoffs after starting 1-3.
6.
1-3.
0-3.
Oh yeah. Wait, yeah. It's gonna be tough, but I'm all for a loser leave town match. I love my pro wrestling, so down for that.
I'm in. Yeah. The other one, I was between two things, but we're going to talk about another team in a little bit. So
probably towards the end of the show.
Yeah. So I would say the Giants come back on the Cardinals. Seeing a team get outscored. So it literally looked like the Giants season was over, right? I mean, they were down 20-0 against the Cardinals after getting blown out 40-0 against the Cowboys. It's 60-0 through 3 quarters of football, or 6 quarters of football.
6 quarters of football.
6 quarters of football, and then that comeback, man. It's like they rose from the goddamn dead. I don't know what happened.
Or they played the Cardinals.
But that's true. But I mean, obviously Saquon's out now, but they literally saved their season. I don't see a team led by Brian Daboll having that type of start or having this kind of comeback and not being able to build off of it. You know what I mean? Like the coaching staff there is so excellent that like I just feel like that has to be a launching point for them. If not, then like Daniel Jones obviously isn't the answer, but I just think that was a huge.
Why do you have
I
just want to know, like, what is giving you, like, why do you have this raging Brian Daboll in your shorts for him after 1 year?
Bro, what he did last year, that team is garbage talent-wise. They have nothing. He took, so you remember he took Josh Allen from a turnover-ready quarterback who did nothing to what he is today. And now all of a sudden he leaves and Josh Allen is another turnover-ridden quarterback. Then you have Daniel Jones, who's the same exact thing. Has athleticism, but turns the ball over too much, doesn't make the right decision. All of a sudden, Daboll comes in. Daboll? I'm terrible with names.
Brian Daboll.
Daboll. It's like I do it on purpose.
I actually thought that you did.
Yeah. Maybe I do subconsciously. You know what I mean?
You kind of dabble in it.
Dabble in it. But yeah, I just, the progression of the quarterbacks, man, is the biggest thing for me. To be able to take Daniel Jones, a guy that was dead. He was dead in the water. Like everyone wrote him up, and he got him a $68 million contract extension. You know what I mean? Like come on, that's impressive.
And refused to give Saquon the big money, and then week 2, it's a high ankle sprain, so he's gone for 3 weeks. I mean, you hate, again, it's this assault on the running back position, which, by the way, even since we were on the terrestrial airwaves way back when, I've been preaching that says you running backs are good to have, but if they are your best player, you're not going to win. So here, before we get into the actual top 10, you did mention that you had some honorable mentions to get there, and I do have a couple of questions, but I want to give you the floor and give your honorable mentions for the top 10 spots. So for number 10, they didn't make it, but they were honorable mentions.
All right, I'm an asshole and don't have it pulled up, so hang on a second.
All right, you gave the Bengals, Titans, Chargers, Commanders, Giants, and maybe the Lions. So
the one I want to talk about is one, as we keep saying, I have vested interest in from the prediction show, man, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's a lot like last year, a slow start, but it just feels different. I don't know, something feels off with that team, man. And And I don't know if it's just Joe Burrow not looking anything like Joe Burrow. He might be hurt again. The defense doesn't look as good. It just, Lamar Jackson controlled that entire game this past weekend, and
Oh yeah.
it's scary for me for a Joe Burrow bandwagon. That's what I'm looking for. Goddamn, Joe Burrow bandwagon extraordinaire. That I'm worried, man. I'm worried about the Cincinnati Bengals. I really am.
I think what makes it worse is that they're 0-2 in their division already. Like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that's hard to do, to lose, to come back from 0-2 and have those both be divisional games. You can always chalk up the Cleveland Brown game like that. It was shitty weather, whatever. First week, another year of
Browns have their number.
yeah, of Joe not having a training camp. The Browns have whatever this weird thing with the Bengals, but this game was alarming in the sense that, like, you're right. He never looked like the guy that we've seen over the last 2 years that can just pull it out of nowhere and win a game. We never saw it.
I mean, is it because he doesn't have enough time? But it seems like they're not making those shots to Jamar Chase, and that's when, or T Higgins, and that's when the Bengals are the Bengals. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
they're firing over the top, hitting Higgins on his 60 yards out route, or hit Jamar Chase on a go down the sideline, and he just makes a ridiculous catch. It just feels like those playmakers aren't making those plays this year, and it's just,
Higgins
it's a little worrisome for me.
Higgins went like 8 for 89 and 2 touchdowns. So, like, if you just read his stat line, you'd be like, wow, the Bengals won by 30. And then they actually lost because Jamar Chase had really nothing in comparison.
Yeah, but like even the 8 for 89, like it's not usually at least one of those two guys. If the Bengals are the Bengals, one
Yeah.
of them is like 7 for 140 and a
Yeah.
touchdown or two. You know what I mean? Like, because they have those big plays, the 20 yarders, 30 yarders, but then they also get like a 60 to 70 yard completion downfield because, those two guys are just electric, man. And it's the fact that that's not happening is very worrisome because it's not like, I mean, I guess Burrow's under a lot of duress, but it's not like it was in past years. You know what I mean? It feels like he's upright a little more this year. I don't know what's going on. It's worrisome for sure.
It almost looks like he doesn't know what to do with the time that he has back there. Like, if he's not under duress, he panics.
Yeah.
You know, there's a team on that list, though. The Commanders. What?
2-0, man. They're 2-0. It's like they at least were in.
Okay, but you have the Commanders
like, well,
right next to the Chargers, dude. So what does that say either about the Commanders or the Chargers?
yeah, it's funny. It's weird that the Commanders they're similar in a way, those two teams, because it's like but like in opposite ways. I mean, like, so the Chargers are 0-2, and that like the Chargers will come back and have at least somewhat of a semblance of a season, just because so they're 9-8, 10-7. That's what they're gonna do. The Commanders, to me, could start out 3-0, 4-0, and no matter what, they're gonna be 7-8. Yeah, or 7-10, 8-9 at the end of the season. There's no doubt about it, because it's like as high as you can get on them, they really haven't played anyone good. But they're 2-0, so they at least had to be at least thought about for the top 10.
In the same breath as the 0-2 Chargers. So it's just worth noting.
Yeah, it's been a weird year. It's been a weird year. The Lions, though. Lions. What do you think about your darling Lions? The Lions are always synonymous with
I know that it was said last week on this particular program that the host at that point was the first one to talk about the Lions team being good. I call bullshit. You can go back and listen to the 2020 NFL prediction show. I picked the Lions to win that division because Aaron Rodgers was in his demise. I was wrong, but at the time, listen, I think in this game, it just came down to too many bad coaching decisions. But in reality, the pass that broke up Jared Goff's contention for the longest active streak without reception in the NFL, that pick six was awful.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
That was a terrible throw, and I mean that did it. But you can't. The Lions have fight, man. They just, everything about them is likable. Even Jared Goff, even Sunshine. Like he is you I'm rooting for him.
I wish he would grow his hair out, just cause. You know, I just want to see what it looks like. Just
Yeah,
not, if he has the locks or not, I never know.
I bet he does.
I bet he
But
has to.
can I just ask a question before you go? When do the Lions intend on making Jahmyr Gibbs like an actual part of their offense?
Well, so this week, I think, because Montgomery got hurt at the near the ends of that game. So
Yeah,
I think this week, but yeah, no, I agree. He's obviously the better running back there. It's like a Tony Pollard, Zeke Elliott situation where
right.
everyone's sitting there like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, do you see who the fuck this guy is? The Lions are the coaching thing. I'm glad you pointed that out because it's not even like I mind Dan Campbell going for it when he does, because like aggressive is aggressive. And I really like coaches that are just like, fuck you. I'm going
Yeah,
for it. I don't give a fuck.
yeah.
But to play for overtime at the ends of that game, to me, when you still have time on the clock, they had like 30, 40 seconds left and they let the clock run down and kick a field goal. And it's like, bro, you could take 2-3 shots at the end zone. You've been going for it literally the entire game. And now is when you get conservative, when the game is
Right.
on the line. Now is when you get conservative. It's just like, if you want to be the guy that goes for it, be the guy that goes for it. You know, to ride or die on that. And that's usually what he does. But I think in this case, it cost him the game. I think that the moment got kind of big for him because it was a big day for like Detroit Lions football. You know, it was like Barry Sanders statue day and like all this stuff. And I just think the moment got a little big for Dan Campbell. And like the
I
game
mean,
was on the line.
sold out
Two,
stadium
right.
for the first time in a couple of years. And by a couple, I
And
mean
with
10.
yeah, and with optimism and like a 2-0 start on the line. And I think he just was like, we can't fuck this up. I can't go for this and have it be an interception or like whatever. But like, bro, you didn't even get the ball back.
Right.
So like what, you know what I mean? You might as well just go for it. And I couldn't believe he didn't. I was shocked when I saw the clock running down. I'm like, what are they doing, man?
I mean, we're 30 minutes in. You think we should actually start talking about the power rankings?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Uh, so I was surprised by this, by the number 10, because I honestly thought that they probably could have been a little bit higher. But then I
You thought
realized,
higher. Okay.
yeah, but then I realized, we were talking about the Commanders and 2-0, but who they played. So number 10, who do you have?
So yeah, 10 is the Bucks. And I'm just gonna loop them right into it. And for everyone out there, 9 is the Falcons. To me, these two teams are the most surprising two teams so far. I've actually been really impressed by the Bucks. We all, every single person on this podcast had them under 5 wins coming into this season. Didn't, right? You did. DK also did. I definitely did.
But I think we met at like 6-11.
I think, but like you guys started at like 5, maybe
Oh yeah,
4.
yeah.
It like, and bro, they still have a lot of that team that won a Super Bowl. And if Baker Mayfield can be what he was this past 2 weeks, man, I don't see any reason why this team can't compete and make the playoffs in this NFC South. And any reason why they can't compete with really anyone in the league, honestly, because Baker's one of those quarterbacks that like when he's going, man, he's got to be so fun to play with. You know what I mean? Like when he's in the huddle with you, he's such a cocky, arrogant asshole, but like in such a like a bro way where you're like, bro,
Yeah.
I want to
He's
fucking run for
like a
a wall
cleaner
for this guy.
Manziel.
Yeah, exactly, man. And it's, I don't know. I like this Bucks team a
But
lot.
let me
And
ask you a question.
the only thing that scares me though is Lovie Smith. He scares the shit out of me because I think he's a terrible football coach. But
Well, and the fact that in the next 3 weeks they go against the Eagles, the Saints, and the Lions. So there's a real probability that they're going to be 2-3 by
it's
the
very
power
possible. Yeah.
rankings. But
This might be the last time we talk about the Bucks all season. That's possible.
yeah, the reason why I was surprised, I thought they should be higher, but then I thought to myself, well, knowing how Bobby, kind of thinks about these, their week 1 win against the Vikings in context now doesn't look like it was really anything, right? Because we know we kind of knew before, like you mentioned, what the Vikings were going to be, and I think that they got the Vikings at the right time. They got the Bears at the right time. I mean, I'm not listen. I don't mean to tear down Baker Mayfield, and obviously like Mike Evans going 6 for 170 and a score like that is, but he just does that. He does that
Yeah,
every
that's what he
year.
does.
It doesn't matter if it's Magic, if it's TB12, if it's Jameis Winston. He's going to get his 1,000 yards always.
He's also going to probably pull his hamstring at like week 6 or 7. You know what I mean? That's inevitable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you had the Bucks at 10. You kind of mentioned glossed over the fact that the Dirty Birds were at 9, but that is surprising.
Yeah, it's a storyline. That's good. That's a storyline, man. The fact that the NFC South has these 2-2-0 to 3-2-0 teams. I left the Saints out. Aren't the Saints 2-0? Yeah, the Saints are 2-0. They're not in the top 10. They weren't even on my list yet, just because they don't seem to have an offense.
Chargers ahead of another 2-0 team.
Yeah, man. I just with the Saints, I have trouble with them. I don't know. You know what? Actually, the more I think about it, I think I wrote them off too fast because their defense, the Saints, is pretty solid. They've held 2 teams under 20 points so far. Granted, one of them was who did they play on Monday? Panthers.
The Raiders.
Yeah, they played the Raiders and the Panthers.
No, that's not true. I lied. They didn't play the Raiders on Monday. They played the Panthers on Monday.
Yeah, who did they play week 1?
Didn't we just say this? Was it the Raiders? It was the Raiders.
It was?
No. No.
We can cut this part out.
No, let's keep it. This is good.
It was the Titans. Titans week 1.
Yes.
It was Titans week 1. But they still haven't scored over 20 points. So they scored 20 points week 2 and 16 week 1. And it's just like they have too many weapons to me for them to be faltering like they are. You know, they have Olave, they have Michael Thomas, they have Rashid Shaheed. They have some ballers on offense, and even Derek Carr's not any kind of scrub. You know what I mean? So
only one more week without Alvin Kamara.
That's very true. And obviously he adds a whole new element to everything where it's like receiving everything out of the backfield. So, I mean, they could definitely appear on this list soon. But because of the unexpectedness of this Saints and the Bucks, do you like that recovery? Oh, right. Because of the unexpectedness of the Falcons and the Bucks, that's why they ended up making the list ahead of them. Because when it comes to the Falcons, I love the way Arthur Smith is running this team, man. It's crazy to me that the Falcons with a quarterback like Desmond Ridder are 2-0, man. And it's kind of been an impressive 2-0. I mean, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier might be the best running back tandem in the NFL, right? I mean, at least top 5.
Yeah, but Algier is really hurting his chance, Bijan's chance to be rookie of the year. You know, like because he's not a workhorse. He's just putting the carries, which again goes against my my pick. But he's so good in space, and if you just can't tackle the son of a bitch. If you try to, he'll power through you.
That one move where he broke that dude's ankles was just so fucking ridiculous, man. I think it's possible that Robinson might be the most electric back in the NFL already, right? I mean, he's in my top 3 of dudes that, like, when red zone flashes to the Falcons, I'm like, oh shit, let's go. Bijan's on right now.
He reminds me a lot of like early Zeke. Like because when Zeke was in the open in his early in his career, he could make people miss. He could catch. He could run through people. Now let's hope that this guy doesn't teeter off 6 years
and
into
get
it.
Fat. I don't think. Yeah, he doesn't have the fat gene though. You could always tell Zeke had the fat gene in him. You know, he had the cheeks and you could always tell it was there.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, if that does happen, Bijan, we'll see you here up in New England in about 7 years. Can't wait for it. All right, so we have the Bucks at 10, the Dirty Birds, the Atlanta Falcons at 9, and number 8. I feel like you wanted to put them higher than where you put them because you love Trevor.
Though. Yeah, you couldn't though.
I know.
It's you know. So to me, the Jags have a Chiefs problem. I don't look too much into this week. I didn't want to drop them too much because of their loss to the Chiefs, because I just think that the Chiefs are in this team's head. I heard a stat earlier today that was like the Jags are in their last 11 or 12 games, they're 10-1 against the rest of the NFL and 0-3 against the Chiefs. So it's like, listen, this team is really good. They just can't beat the fucking Chiefs, no matter how hard they fucking try. That game kind of sucked, by the way, which was really disappointing.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was a really shitty game. But yeah, I just, I like the Jags. I don't look too much into this loss. I couldn't put them higher just because of who's ahead of them on this list and how good some of these teams have looked. But they're definitely still in that upper echelon, in the like fringe contenders. You know what I mean? They're not in that top tier, but they're there. They're there. They're lingering for sure.
I remember last week, DK went on for he wanted to make sure that he got as much of an answer out of you as possible. He's talking to you about Jaguars or week 1, all the expectations, and he's like, "Well, Bobby, why do you? So tell me why you have them here." And you just went, Calvin Ridley, and he disappeared this week.
He did disappear, man.
Gone.
He did. Yeah. I don't know.
Gone. I couldn't they can't afford him. They cannot afford for him to be a boomer bust. He needs to level off, and if his leveling off is 7 for 90 and a touchdown every week, like that's awesome. Whatever, right? But Christian Kirk had a great week. I think he had like 10 or 11 grabs for 110 yards, but no scores. Ridley is the answer. He will elevate the rest of the receiving core, and it just felt like he disappeared. I wanted this to be a shootout. I wanted to see Trevor Lawrence come back, down 10, make this like 30, 38, 35, whatever, and we get 17-9. Come on.
Do you think so? Is it possible that the Chiefs just have we'll obviously get to them, but do they just have the top tier defense? Is that is this a different era of the Chiefs that we're looking at where it's not? I guess I'm getting ahead of myself, but I feel like that's
I don't think so.
Was I feel like the Bucks, or not the Bucks, the Jags just got shut down by a Chris Jones led defense, and I don't know if that's just again a factor of the Chiefs own the Jags, but it felt like it was a defensive struggle, and
it feels a little, I mean, I'm always going to bring this back to New England, but it feels a little like early 2000s Patriots Colts, right? Where we just had their number until eventually when we didn't. But if I were to tell you that Travis Kelce and Chris Jones are coming back for the game, and by the way, the Chiefs are playing the Jaguars, I bet you would not pick the final score to be 17-9.
No, definitely not. So it was a weird game. It was a weird game. That's why I don't want to look too much into it.
Yeah, I feel like the Jags, they held their own, but here's my number 7 is my favorite team to talk about. It's like the biggest Jekyll and Hyde. So go ahead, number 7 in the Week 3 power rankings.
So yeah, it's the Buffalo Bills, man. I know that I'm probably going to get some hate for this. It seemed they came back out of their graveyard after Week 1 loss to the Jets. But that Jekyll and Hyde thing, man, the teams that are ahead of them, I know what the Bills have been the last few years. I know that they are a top tier team. They probably belong in the top 4. You know what I mean? They're definitely a part of that tier, talent wise and projection wise for the season. I definitely expect them to be back at the top of this list. But right now, with the way that the teams that are playing ahead of them, I can't feasibly take this team that I saw lose to the Jets in Week 1 and put them ahead of the rest of the teams on this
without
list.
Aaron Rodgers.
Can't do it. Yeah, without Aaron Rodgers, exactly. And it's you cannot lose that game if you are a top tier team in the NFL. You just can't. So I couldn't put them higher. I know what the projection is for this team. Listen, I get it. But right now, they're not a top 16 in the NFL. Definitely not.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, I think when you say, like, I know what the projection is for this team, I think what you mean to say is I know what the expectations are around the country
Right.
for this team. But based off of the first 2 weeks, like, if you just blend it together, it doesn't I'm not convinced that they want to do what we think they can do. I
Yeah.
don't like. It feels like, Josh Allen's in like his Brett Favre minus the Percocet phase, where he's just gonna just sling the ball all over the place, and he's going to alienate his top target, Stephon Diggs. That's gonna kind of percolate over, and the last 4 years, I'll say 4 years. The last 4 years, we've always been uh, tricked into thinking that the rushing attack for the Bills will not actually be all of Josh Allen. Like, they're going to have a running back that will take some of the load off. This week it was what, Jared Cook, 17 carries, 123 yards.
Yeah.
I bet next week he has under 45. Like, that's just what happens.
It does seem to be the Bills' MO. However, on that same point, if they can have a running back that can actually do this and take that load off of Josh Allen, if James Cook can be a Dalvin Cook that we saw in the past, then yeah, it's the sky's the limit for this team, because that's what they've been missing. And Devin Singletary was awesome, but he wasn't an electric playmaker. He wasn't ever going to go for 17 for 140, 150. I think Cook does have that ability, but I do agree that the Bills' history tells you that this next week he's not going to get more than 7 carries. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's what the Bills do, and you're right. They're Jekyll and Hyde, so that's why they couldn't go any higher.
How much of it? How much of it, before we go on to the next one? How much of it is they're like a running back not wanting to take the reins from Josh Allen, as much as Josh Allen not wanting to give the reins up to the running back?
I bet it's a little bit of both. The efficiency of Josh Allen in the red zone definitely has something to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you he gets a couple. He definitely has freedom at this point within that offense to be able to be like, this is my fucking play. And that's what happens. So I definitely think that has something to do with it. So maybe, having confidence in Coke will change that, because, I definitely think he showed more willingness to give him the ball and not keep it on those RPOs this week. But I don't know. Yeah. He reminds me a lot of, trying to think of a good comparison for Josh Allen. Tony Romo. He reminds me, he does, because with Romo, man, when the game was on the line, or when shit hit the fan, he was going to turn the ball over. It was gonna happen. It was a matter
Do you
of.
think he's more like Tony Romo than like Brett Favre?
Okay, I see the Brett Favre comparison a little more. I see what you're saying there, because I do think he's a little bit above the level of Tony Romo. So I won't hate on Josh Allen like that. Okay, yeah. So but the exact same prototype. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
There's that word again. Get a little bell out.
yeah, where it's that should be the title of this episode. Just prototype. You know what I mean? Week 3, prototype. Week 2, week 3, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah. That's the style of quarterback he is. It's a Brett Favre, Tony Romo gunslinger, where it's like there's moments where it's amazing, where it's like he looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. But there's moments where you're like, what the fuck was that? Like, what are you? Well, like, I can't even fathom what you were seeing on the football field. Like that interception against the Jets in the corner of the end zone, or in the front of the end zone.
I mean,
it
was
the field.
It was offensive,
egregious. Just like, I as soon as the ball's in the air, you're like, oh no, oh no, that's not good. Yeah, no, he's just unfathomable sometimes. But there is moments, like I said, where he just looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. So it depends how far apart those moments are, I guess. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Number 6, a team that it doesn't feel like they've hit their stride yet offensively, but if and when they do, they're going to move further up this list. So who do you have at number 6?
Yeah, that's the Ravens, man. I'm all in on the Ravens. They haven't done enough to join that top tier yet, but we've been saying it for years. For years.
Yeah.
Get this dude some help. Get him some guys, man. And they finally did. OBJ, he's not the OBJ he was, definitely not. But he's still OBJ. He's still making plays. He's gonna get dinged up throughout the season, but he's a guy. Zay Jones, man.
Zay Flowers.
Zay Flowers. Who's Zay Jones and the Jags, right?
Yeah.
Zay Flowers. This dude is the real deal. I like
Yep.
Zay Flowers a lot. BC alum. What's up, dude?
All right.
Love it. Yeah, love it. And then
I think one of the most ridiculous things about Sunday was that Nelson Aguilar contributed more to this one game for the Ravens than he did for 2 seasons of the Patriots.
except against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That one game against the boys was dope.
But I mean, I think his stat line was it was what, 5 for 60 and a touchdown. But the thing now is when you look at the Ravens offense, dude, is you now have, like, Lamar has options. You're gonna see consistently 3 guys with more than 5 catches and definitely more than 7 targets. And Andrews, Flowers, Aguilar, Beckham. I mean, Bateman is your 4th.
Yeah,
He was his 1 2 years ago.
well, yeah. That's what's so crazy about the Ravens. Just like there's been all these expectations for all these years, and they've literally run it like not to like rub salt in the wound a little bit, but like the Patriots have run their playmaking for the past 3 years, and it's like obviously I just don't understand what the disconnect is with NFL teams and not realizing that an elite quarterback needs fucking guys to throw the ball to. Like, I don't understand how teams just don't understand that. And the Ravens were the main culprit of this for years. I mean, they got, who was it they got last year? I forget who they signed. It was Sammy Watkins. It was 2 years ago. And everyone was like,
well, no, 2 years ago they signed your boy. Throw the X up.
The X, yeah, the Dez, right?
Yeah.
And it's like every vet wide receiver they bring in is like
40 years old.
This is the best guy that Lamar has ever thrown the ball to. It's every single time, man. And it's like, how can you keep doing this to this guy? And like, then you don't want to re-sign him. And it's like year in and year out, Lamar shows the league that like he's not Justin Fields. He's not RG.
You're going right after DK.
Bro, I love Justin Fields, but like listen, if you guys listen to PMT, even Big Cat, the biggest Justin Fields supporter I've ever seen, is hurting on this guy right now. And it's don't get me out on Justin Fields. Sorry. that was it. But no, it's just okay. So I will make it personal, DK. All right. So
you already made it personal with me, but let's just to summarize what you're saying here. 2 years ago, Nelson Aguilar would have been his number 1. This year is his number 3.
Right. But like for every Russian quarterback, Lamar Jackson is defying those odds. We've seen this before, man. We've seen this script. And it doesn't end well. But for Lamar, it seems to be ending well to me. We'll see what happens with the Super Bowl, what happens in the playoffs. But like, I don't see this guy going away. And it's time to get him some fucking help, and he finally has it. So we'll see.
Your number 5 pick. I mean, I have a couple questions about it, but I'll just let you intro and tell me why you have the Dolphins at number 5.
So they look amazing these first 2 weeks, man.
Amazing.
They look that offense is so good. We'll see what happens with Waddle. I'm a little nervous about his health, but when those 2 guys are on the field and they have McDaniels as coach, they have a defense that looks pretty solid. I mean, granted, the first week they gave up a lot of points to the Chargers, but I feel like a lot of teams are going to do that this year. Yeah, I love that offense. And I think as long as Tua is healthy, They deserve this spot, man. And they're as close to the NFC elite and the Chiefs as we're going to get in the NFL talent-wise, in my opinion. You know what I mean? When you have those two wide receivers, no one in the NFL can match that speed. Man. There is not a team in the NFL that has a secondary to match up with it. The number one team on this list, who we'll get to later, might have an opportunity to do that because of who they have talent-wise. But it's going to be tough. We're going to see it, which is going to be an amazing game. But
or it'll be 6-3.
Because LSU, Alabama style, yeah, it's very possible. But yeah, no, they're going to be a tough team to out if they stay healthy. That's obviously a very big caveat on the Miami Dolphins for this year. If they stay healthy, they're a team to be reckoned with, at least through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, 100%. If I were to tell you that Tyreek Hill was only going to have 5 catches for 40 yards before the game, you would have been like, oh, so the Dolphins are going to lose. But they didn't because Jalen Waddle stepped up. Raheem Mostert looks like he's the Raheem Mostert from San Francisco and is, what was it? It was like 18 for 120 and 2 touchdowns.
He had that one, too, that was like, he had that Mostert speed again, man, where as soon as he got through that line, he was fucking gone. It was wow. Was it the 40? I think it was 45 yards, 40 yards, something like that.
The thing that stuck out the most to me, we kind of talked about this when we were talking about Justin Fields earlier, though, was just the timing of Tua, right? Mm-hmm. If you compare what he looks like now to what he looked like when Brian Flores was the head coach of Miami, who, by the way, I believe Brian Flores should still have a head coaching opportunity, but he was not pro Tua, right? Like that was not the offense for him. But now it's 1, 2, 3, back foot, bam, 5, and then it's a 5-step drop, bam, it's out. He gets a lot of shit for only making like his first read. Well, listen, if they're fucking open, you just throw. I mean, you just throw
the ball.
By the way, a couple of his throws against the Patriots, my New England Patriots, he threw them open.
Dimes.
Yeah, they weren't open when he threw it, and he threw them open. So. Yeah, I think obviously you want to make sure that he stays healthy, but from all the precautions that they take him with his helmet, with his WWE classes or Taekwondo classes that he's been going to in the offseason to learn how to fall, it doesn't matter. If you have Tyreek Hill, that was a Rock reference, you're right. If he has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and they're open, he releases the ball within 2.5 seconds. He's not going to get hit that much. He's not. And by the way, that defense is only going to get better as the year goes on. I mean, I said it on the show with Ray that we released this week. Check that, in the show notes. But the Patriots made Andrew Van Ginkel look like a DeMarcus Ware. So that team they're good, and I think they're better than 5. I think they are.
I don't know. The top 4, I think, are a set from the rest of the league. I think this top 4 tier that we're going to get to in a second is a separate tier altogether from the rest of the NFL.
I would just argue I think that they're better than the 3rd team on your list.
You think so?
And having seen my team lose them already, I can tell you that. I do.
That's true. You did see them both, so okay, that's fair. That's fair. And judging by what the weakness is, we're not to spoil it yet. We won't. But judging by what the weakness is on that 3rd team and how bad that weakness actually is, I understand what you're saying. I do. But I can't put them there yet.
No.
Not quite yet. Give me a couple more weeks and they might get there. However, Mike McDaniels is my favorite part about the NFL right now. I just want to make that so clear that he is my fucking guy. Like, I feel like if we hung out with him in college, he would have been one of our best fucking friends, man. I'll say that every single week. My favorite part about this week in the NFL actually was the halftime. They always do the following the coach, with the camera into the NFL. Mike McDaniel sees it and he just starts fucking dead sprint, bro. Just as fast as he can run away from that camera. You can see the cameraman trying to catch up and he's just like, bro, it's fucking hilarious. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Yeah. they're not part of this top tier yet. Should I just jump right into that?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right,
Number
so
4.
this might surprise a lot of people, and it's kind of been a running storyline on this. I promised I wouldn't do this at the beginning of the season. I promised I wouldn't downgrade this team based off of early losses. I was like, no, I'm not being stupid this year.
No.
I'm sticking with this team. But based off of the early play I've seen, number 4 is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Bobby, you just this is
I do it to myself. I know.
Well, I think you're working yourself into this shoot. Like you talk yourself up all offseason. Like, you know what? I promise you guys, no.
I'm smarter. I've learned by this.
No matter what, I am not dropping the Kansas City Chiefs below like number 2 because they have Patrick Mahomes. Week 2. Yeah, they're number 4.
I mean, man.
By the way, they were higher after losing than they are after winning.
Yeah, I know. I'm not thrilled about what I'm seeing on the offensive side, man. I know Mahomes is going to figure it out. I get it. I know he is. He's Patrick Mahomes. You know what I mean? He's the best quarterback, best talented quarterback we've ever seen. Talent-wise. We're not starting that conversation again.
I know. I'm not going to get I'm not going to shake up a little bit here, but I will just say,
put your Brady boner away for
I just say, well, let me just ask you a question, because I think that this should help elevate them moving forward. This list is now, it's out there, so we can't change it.
Well, I could
against any one of the teams that's in front of the Chiefs right now in a must-win situation. Would you bet against Patrick Mahomes?
Top 2, maybe. Top 2, I would think about it. Top 2, it would be okay. So number 3 is the Super Bowl runner-ups last year that they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I think I would pick them over the Eagles, but just based off of the Eagles putting up 34 points on a Thursday night and looking a little bit like the Eagles of old, having Swift in that running game and to pick itself back up is what put me back on the Eagles, because that's what the Eagles are good at. So if the Eagles have that running game again, I think they're tough to beat. And the Chiefs just haven't showed that offensive firepower, man. I know it's the same thing that we said last year. I get it. But Kadarius Toney being...
Fuck you. Don't loop me into this. I didn't say this. This is what you said last year.
I know.
Don't say true. We. Fuck the we. This is you.
Look, Kadarius Toney being your top wide receiver option is a fucking problem, man. That is a problem. I don't care who is your fucking quarterback.
Yeah, it's not great.
That is a problem. I know Travis Kelce is there. I know he's a different tight end. He's different. It's a different position for Travis Kelce. I get that. But you still need to have some wide receiver help, man. You got to have something on the outside. You got to have a slot. You got to have something. And it's like they're not even utilizing Jerick McKinnon right. They're not. Nothing looks right about that offense. And I just want to see 1 week where you're like, okay, that's the fucking Chiefs.
Just get ready for when your number 10 team is like 2-5 and they trade Mike Evans to the Chiefs.
Then it's just fucking lights out.
Right.
That is Randy Moss all over again, bro.
Yep.
For Tom Brady. That's what it would be like. Sky Moore, I heard this on a podcast earlier this week, and I got to steal it because I couldn't agree more. Sky Moore needs to change his fucking number. He 22 is not a wide receiver number. I feel like it's weighing him down a little bit.
Well, I mean, to his credit, he hasn't acted like a wide receiver all year. So
that's what I mean, dude. So he can't be number 22 anymore. He should just switch it up with someone. And yeah, it just looks weird. And I just don't believe he's a wide receiver when he's out there.
All right. So gun to your head, we already said that you think that the Chiefs might have a shot to beat the Eagles, who are your number 3 in the power rankings in a must-win situation. But that's good. And now the next team was the team that they actually beat in the Super Bowl 3 years ago, and in a must-win situation.
That's weird, isn't it? It's like
Go
we're
ahead.
living.
No, it's fine.
It's just the NFL is just repeating itself over and over again. No, but wait. So before we get on to that, I have to ask you something. So you said so far the Pats, who, no surprise to anyone here, is my favorite team, have played the Dolphins and the Eagles so far this year, and you said you think the Dolphins are better based off of what you saw in that game. What makes you think that? Because I'm very intrigued by that. I'm very high on the Dolphins, and I would love, me, I would love to put them ahead of the Eagles. That would be like my favorite fucking thing ever, to drop the Eagles down this list, because I'm sick of them being at the top. I fucking hate the Eagles.
I just felt like week one against the Eagles, we went down 16-0, and that was primarily because of the mistakes that we made on offense, and didn't really highlight what they did well on defense. Right, there was more self-sustained wounds. I thought that the game, and this is what I said, I talked about it very earlier this week. I think the Patriots are more like the team that you've seen them be in the first half of both games, and then the other team lets up. The reason why I think the Dolphins are better than the Eagles is because we've kind of seen like a little bit of a drop off in the play of Jalen Hurts this year, right? And I don't know if it could be a couple of things. Maybe you can figure him out on film. Maybe this is all scheme, but Tua, he didn't throw for 464 yards against the Patriots, but it felt like he did. Like, there was never a chance where I looked at that at our pass rush or our defense and was like, you know what, we're in his head. Yeah, the ball to Tyreek where Christian Gonzalez picked him off, great, but it just
he's good, by the way.
I'm gonna tell you this. Here's why. It never felt like there was a momentum shift in that game compared to the Eagles game.
That's fair. I hear what you're saying. The Eagles secondary scares the shit out of me. If I was an Eagles fan, not because
Patricia's coaching them up now, so they're going to suck this year.
Is it Patricia over there? Is it?
Yeah. He's the defensive special coordinator or whatever.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. They had a lot of turnover, so I was just interested to get your opinion on it, just because I really am high on the Dolphins, and I really do want them to be a part of that upper echelon, but I couldn't do it. But yeah, so anyways, back to number 3. So number 3 on my list, or number 2, sorry, 49ers. Only question mark coming into the season to me, man, was Brock Purdy. He obviously had that injury at the end of last season. He had a noodle arm, coming into the season, but he looked good through the first 2 weeks. He looks like a real solid NFL quarterback. He's not going to light the world on fire, but he's definitely not going to lose you any games, and he might win you a game here or there with the weapons they have, the defense they have, and just the first 2 weeks they beat teams in a fashion that it's like, okay, this team is here for real. You know what I mean? Like, so week 1 against the Steelers, who the Steelers look pretty, they look pretty good. In week 2, they absolutely dismantled them. And in the Rams game, listen, I know Sean McVay might have a deal with FanDuel or something like that to kick that field goal at the end of the game.
Do you watch First Take?
Yeah.
Did you see Mad Dog today?
Yes.
Oh, I mean, he cost me $10,000. So fucking good.
And it's like, the funny part about the whole thing is, like, there really is. So he explained it by saying, so for everyone out there, there's no time left in the game. I think there's 4 seconds, like 3 seconds, something like that. Rams were down by 10, and McVay decided to kick a field goal with 4 seconds left, literally knowing time would run out, and there is no reason to do that other than that the Rams were the 49ers were a 10-point favorite in this game.
I thought they were 7.5.
It was 7. No, it was 7. and it turned it into a push or a 7.5.
They were 7.5, and
It was
this
7.5.
yeah,
Oh man.
this and then McVay goes, well, we did that for point differential at the end of the year. Fuck you. Like,
Yeah, bro.
fuck
Get out
you.
of here.
No, you
Check
didn't.
the bank. Check his bank account, everyone. He had a super boost. He had a super boost going. Yeah, it was wild. But so that wasn't as close as 7 points. You look at 30-23, you're like, oh, that was a close game. No, the 49ers handily beat the Rams. The Rams hung in for a while, but the 49ers pulled away at the end. They were clearly the more talented football team. And I just think that's the way it's going to go for the rest of the year. And to me, I think we're kind of on a new dawn of the NFC, that we're going to see the rivalry come back again. We've already seen 2 iterations of it.
Oh,
Obviously, everyone out there knows who the number 1 team is on this list. We don't need to transition to it yet, but I think it's coming back. I think the rivalry is coming back, and I think the 49ers are obviously a team that's going to be reckoned with for a few years to come. And that defense, the offense, Debo, Christian McCaffrey, you go down the list, and it's just like these dudes are ballers, and if they have a quarterback that cannot lose the game and maybe even win a few, they're going to do things.
Listen, I wholeheartedly agree. They are the second best team in the league. I think that Brock Purdy is in the best situation possible as Mr. Irrelevant, where he doesn't have all he has to do is stay healthy and not cost them a game, and this team will win 14 games in a season. Yeah. I mean, McCaffrey, Debo, Ayuk, and then if you need him, George Kittle's still there. He's their fourth offensive option, which is fucking wild. So no, I completely agree. But I think the one thing just to call back to when we first started the show, storyline, is it Puka? How do you say his last name?
Nakua? Is that right? Nakua?
Yeah. Does he have 30 receptions in the first?
Yeah.
In the first,
he's fucking absurd, man. He's wild.
So 15 for 147.
Is Cooper Kupp I heard this earlier this week, and it really made me think, is Cooper Kupp a system receiver? Is it just the system, and it's like certain wide receivers are just going to thrive in this Rams system? Because, bro, he's lighting the world on fire with these numbers. This is like unheard of.
Numbers.
What he's doing in these first 2 weeks, man, is fucking wild. And this is a dude that was undrafted in every single fantasy draft out there. There was not one fantasy draft where this dude was drafted. And he's I think he's number 1 receiver in fantasy right now, right?
Well, if you're in a PPR league, yeah, because he has 30 points just for catches.
Wow.
Maybe. All right. So not to drag this out a little bit longer, but I do want to just tie back the number, this game and the Chiefs. Let me ask you a question. If the Rams are still good, we know that they are lacking draft picks. If the Chiefs offer you a first and a second for Cooper Kupp, do you do it?
Wow.
Because if what you just said is true, and maybe your hypothesis is proven into an actual fact that Cooper Kupp is a system wide receiver, you got Tutu Atwell, who's averaging 7 catches a game. You got Puka, who's averaging 15. If you're the Chiefs, why don't you send them an offer? Because Cooper Kupp and Mahomes, that would be naughty.
Wow. Mike, you might have just started something, bro. That might be. You might have just started an NFL rumor. If within the next few days we see that trade rumor pop up, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna be like, bro, that started here 100%.
That's right.
It's juicy. I didn't think about that because you're 100% right. Where it's like you see these numbers, just dudes put it up. If I'm the Rams GM, I'm at least thinking about what you can get for him because
they don't have a draft first round pick for the next 7 years.
They traded him. Yeah, that's true. Wow.
Just saying.
Wild.
Heard it here first.
You just dropped a Brad Stevens moment. Remember when you like called for Brad Stevens being fired 3 years ago?
Yeah. You fucking lost your mind.
Yeah, he just kind of blew my mind a little bit. I didn't even fucking consider that. That's wild. That's a legitimate trade rumor that I would look out for.
And it transforms 2 teams.
Yeah. Mike, you're a smart guy, man. That's something.
Yeah, that's why they locked me in the shed.
That's something.
The number 1 team for the second week in a row.
It's 2.
It's them boys. It's the Dallas Cowboys, Bobby.
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm scared out of my fucking mind. I'm so terrified about this, man, because like you and anyone else has nothing to even argue. And that's what's so scary. Is like I can sit here and be like the Cowboys are the best team in the NFL right now. And like you are the one who would point out every single hate that you could possibly do about this Cowboys team. You just, you're like, well, yeah, they might be. You know what I mean? It's very possible. They're the darlings of the NFL right now because of this defense. And I'm scared shitless about it. I've never been in this position where I'm like, I'm trying to rack my brain for like, you know what I mean?
Weren't they 13-3 like 4 years ago? What do you mean you've never been in this position?
But there was always like kind of like a shadow over their head of like, even that year it was like 2 rookies, you know what I mean? It was like there was always something that someone could point to and be like, this is your flaw. But like, do you see one through the first 2 weeks? Would
it make you feel better if I found one?
Yeah. What? Please do.
Zach, you played fucking Zach Wilson.
Yeah, but we fucking dominated them.
Yeah,
so,
as you should. The Patriots are about to. So if the 0-2 Patriots dominate the team that you just dominated, does that make you feel better or worse about yourself?
Yeah, but like it's 60-10 in the first 2 weeks, man. 60-10.
Yeah. And
60-10.
And like 30 of those points are scored by your defense. Your
right,
offense,
bro.
defense.
It's like we haven't even hit our highest level yet. That's what's so scary about this team is like they're only gonna get better. We already talked about it where it's like there's one team in the NFL that when the Dolphins are clicking at all cylinders can stop them. And that is the Dallas fucking Cowboys. And that is crazy to me. Maybe, right. But I mean, Stephon Gilmore and Trevon Diggs are the two.
It's only because Diggs bites, like he's aggressive, which I love. And I'm not, this isn't a knock.
He's not as aggressive anymore. That's the thing. It's like
who was he had to be aggressive against? Again, it was the Giants. And not the Giants, but like who's their best offensive weapon?
They don't really have one.
Yeah. Okay. And then it was the Jets, and it's Garrett Wilson. And he locked that motherfucker down. Zach Wilson was throwing the ball.
Man, that's true.
And then next week we're gonna get the Cardinals.
But like he has
3. They're gonna be 3-0. They're gonna be 3-0, Bobby. Don't worry about it.
How much are they gonna beat the fucking Cardinals by this week? Oh my god!
I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure the spread is it 12?
Is it 12?
Yeah.
I feel like it might get higher than that. I feel like that could go up to 14.
I took the under, by the way. I took the under.
What's the under the spread? You think they're
sorry, yeah. I took the Cardinals on the spread. Like, I mean, because I just think that they could, but
they're not going to. This defense is too good, man. This isn't so like I know the mindset and I get it. I totally do.
You're freaking out.
No, this defense is different, bro. The floor to this defense is like if we play a team that is below average offensively and has a quarterback that's prone to mistakes, it's gonna be like we saw week 1 against the Giants, or it's gonna be like we saw against the Vikings last year. Like this defense is out to kill this year, man. Plus, we don't even have Jonathan Wilson back yet, who is our starting safety, who is one of the best pass rushing safeties in the league. So like, yeah, he can struggle in coverage. He's not the best guy 101, but he doesn't need to be when you have those 2 corners. You know what I mean? He can be that hard hitting safety. Plus you have, I can't believe I've gone this far without mentioning him, maybe the best defensive player since Lawrence Taylor. Micah Parsons, man. This dude, have you ever seen a dude that's faster and stronger than every person on the football field every single play? Every single play you see him, you're like, this dude is better than everyone. Everyone. He's unbelievable.
Do you think
This week?
So listen, I'm a huge Micah Parsons fan.
Wait. This week he had two sacks, 9 quarterback hurries, and I think it was like 4 tackles for a loss, and that play where he literally just fucking took the ball from Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is running, Mike Parsons was like, nah, bitch, that's my fucking ball, and just took it from him. He should have had a touchdown.
He's
unbelievable, man. I've never seen anything like him.
The LT thing is, I can't make the comparison because LT played in an era where it hasn't transitioned to fully offensive mode yet. But I'm just going to ask you a question, and just please try to take off your Cowboys onesie for 1 second when you answer this. Do you think that Micah Parsons right now is better than a young Ray Lewis?
I think he's comparable.
I said better.
No, I think he's comparable.
Yeah,
comparable.
I would say the exact same thing. There has not been a disruptor
like
to the
him.
magnitude of Ray Lewis. I mean, Micah Parsons has done it. And
he ruins game plans, man. You see it where it's like they have something they're trying to do, and Micah just fucking sniffs it out, and he is to the spot that they want to go every fucking time. I think that's a great comparison. It's like LT, Ray Lewis, and Micah. If Micah continues on this progression that he's going on, man, he is 100% in that category of defensive players, because it's unheard of. Like, you see good DNs, you know what I mean? You see the Watts, you see Jadeveon Clowney, you see Myles Garrett.
Man, those are literally the two names that I was going to make the comparison to, but they're linemen. I was like, those the first two that popped up was Clowney and Watt.
But the difference is they can disappear at times because they are linemen. Yeah. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, they're not going to be able to get sideline to sideline. Micah, depending on the play, man, you see it where it's like he just reads it and he's on the line and he steps back and all of a sudden he's on the fucking hash marks and you're like, how the fuck did he get there, man? He's unbelievable.
He's like a linebacker Revis.
Yeah, yes. Whereas he's just you expect a big play. That's a perfect comparison, because it's like you expect a big play where you see it set up and you see it in front of you. We've all seen, we all know ball, as they say. So you see a play unfold and you're like, uh-oh. Like you know the setup and you're like, oh fuck, this isn't good. And all of a sudden you just see someone come out of fucking nowhere to bust the play up. And you're like, oh, that was fucking cool. Fuck yeah. That's Micah Parsons in a nutshell, where you're just like, we're fucked. Oh, no, we're not, because we have Micah Parsons, so we're not fucked. We're actually loss of 4. Cool. Yeah. It's amazing. It's a different level.
I might have been a little low with my 9-8 projection for the Cowboys. But I'm just going to ask you one last, hopefully mind-blowing question before I turn it back over to you. Through 2 games, have you noticed that this kind of feels like the 2019 Patriots? The boogeyman defense that started out 8-0 but never actually beat anybody?
I get what you're saying, because of who they played the first 2 weeks.
And no, 3 weeks, because they're spoiler. They've already beat the Cardinals.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I'm just getting happy thinking about all this shit that's gonna happen this week.
What if they lose to the Cardinals?
They won't.
No. What will you do if they do?
They won't. I am not even gonna let that. I'm not gonna let you do that to me, because there's no.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad.
There's no way. There's literally no way, because this defense, the floor is so high for this team. Like, if the offense doesn't turn the ball over 14 times, there's no way the Cardinals can beat them because they're just not going to be able to move the ball. It's literally impossible.
That's the clip right there. That's it.
I'll jump off a bridge. Is what's going to happen if they lose the fucking Cardinals. But yeah, man, it's special. I haven't felt. I was texting my buddy earlier, who's also a diehard Cowboys fan, and we've been friends since we were like 10, 11 years old. So like,
there's more of you.
There is more of us. I know, who grew up in Massachusetts. See, he lived right down. It was fucking crazy, but we've been through some shit when it comes to the Cowboys. We've seen some fucking teams, and we've seen some heartbreaks. We've seen a lot of shit when it comes to the Cowboys, but we both agreed that this is the best defense we've ever seen on a Cowboys roster since we started watching this team.
Yeah,
and it's
100%.
like the floor is the highest that I can imagine for any Cowboys team, where it's like, if they can't get past any team except maybe the 49ers, it's the only team I'll accept defeat to in the NFC. It would be such a massive disappointment because of who this team actually can be and who they are. You know what I mean? Like, the only way I can see this season going south is if Dak really turns into that turnover-ridden quarterback, and the offense loses its way and doesn't keep running the ball, and they don't play towards that defensive strategy.
Yeah, I don't think McCarthy's gonna let that happen though.
I don't think that's gonna. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, man. And that's another thing. So that's a good point. So McCarthy's really impressing you. I hate to say it. I fucking hated him last year, but like, the penalties are down. The Cowboys' mistakes are down. Those moments where you're like, oh, here we go. That's not happening. And it's just like, it feels like McCarthy just was like, fuck this. Fuck this, not being held accountable. Fuck all this shit. I am taking over this team. This is my team. And that's what we're seeing. Because, I mean, that's what, if you remember, that's what the Packers teams were back in the day, man. They made no fucking penalties. They had a really good defense. It was like Woodson, and Rodgers was really good, but he wasn't the amazing Aaron Rodgers that we knew and that we came to know over the years. Like, that 2007 Packers team, man, wasn't this electric, crazy Packers team. Remember, they were that was
still Brett Favre.
The one that lost to the Steelers, or that beat the Steelers, the one that beat the Steelers,
2011, 2010.
Yeah, 2002, yeah, whatever year that was. Yeah, it wasn't like wasn't that the relaxed Packers? That was like the RELAX Packers, where it was like an offense that was struggling, but the defense carried it, and they were just disciplined as fuck, and that's why he was like, all right, relax, everyone, it's gonna be okay. And they ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's the type of team I feel like McCarthy is trying to build, where it's like, it's not about trying to be the most electric team. Listen, I know we have the playmakers, but we have the special defense, and that's what we're going to ride on. And that's what it seems like they're doing so far. I'm excited for week 4 or week 5. We play the 49ers. That's obviously like the biggest test. What?
Week 4, bro.
Patriots. Yeah, it's Patriots. Week 5 is the 49ers. Yeah. The Patriots game's getting weird, though. I just have a feeling that's going to be a weird fucking game. It always is.
Bill can scheme.
It always is, man. It always is.
Well, I mean, hopefully, Bobby, you're 3-0 going into the Patriots game. I really hope you are. Sounds like if you're not, then you're going to be jumping off a bridge, which we do not condone, endorse, or support. All right, but I think that does it for the Power Ranking show, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row. I'm gonna mention it every week so that I can keep the Cowboys at week 1 at the top position. 2 weeks in a row, guys. Let's make it 3. Come on.
Yeah, with that win over the Cardinals, good for you. So for the real BK Bob Kelly, this is Michael Marcangelo saying thank you so much for listening to Missing the Point. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.
Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
an Electrocast production.
See you there.
Electrocast. Electrocast.